Good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. Priyanka Shrestha, medical oncologist from Karamsad, Gujarat. I thank organizer for giving me this opportunity to be presenter here. Today, I'm presenting two abstracts. The first abstract is development and validation of risk model for breast cancer-related lymphedema by Van et al., which was published in JAMA Network. Uh, Breast cancer-related lymphedema is an important sequel of breast cancer and its treatment, affecting up to 1 in 5 patients in surgical after surgery. It gets worsened with the addition of chemotherapy and radiation therapy. Leads to the significant swelling and deformity of limb, psychosocial morbidity, decreased mobility, and various medical complications. Up to 70% of this lymphedema is noticed within the first year of treatment. BMI, which is a marker of obesity, has been identified as an independent risk factor for lymphedema development. So the researchers, the primary objective of the study was to evaluate the prognostic value of mammographic breast density in estimating lymphedema severity, taking the mammographic breast density as a marker of adiposity. Patient population, these patients were enrolled from cancer rehabilitation and survivorship program from Princess Margaret Cancer Center, Toronto, Canada. These were taken from the patient enrollment was from 2016 to 18 and the data collection was from 18 to 20. There was an independent comparative group. Data was collected regarding their demography, their past medical histories. A mammographic density was calculated using the Barrett system from 1 to 4. Patient with a lymphedema diagnosis, the measurements were taken for the volumes using 7 references point, and the patients were divided into training and validation cohort. Appropriate statistical analysis was done. AUC curves were generated. The mild edema was classified as 200 to 500. Severe lymphedema was more than 500 and less than 200 as a nil edema. Out of 676 patients, 373 patients were found eligible for the analysis. These are the baseline characteristics of the patient. Coming to the results, univariate linear regression identified 10 variables, which was narrowed down to 5 variables in multivariate analysis. That was body mass index, mammographic breast density, number of pathological lymph node, age, and axillary lymph node dissection. The formula was generated was as following. On Spearmare correlation testing between the predicted lymphedema volume and the measured lymphedema volume, there was a statistically significant moderate correlation, both in the training as well as the validation cohort. Area under the curve for both mild and the severe lymphedema, and both in the training and validation cohort was nearly 0.8. On the matrix of distribution of cases by mammographic breast density and the volume of lymphedema, that is the severity, shown that the lower the breast density, the lymphedema severity was high. So the author's conclusion was this prognostic study identified that the severity of lymphedema can be estimated using 5 clinical factors, including breast density, BMI, age, number of pathological lymph node, and axillary lymph node dissection. The lower the breast density, the higher of the risk of severe lymphedema. This finding suggests that combining the breast density with the established risk factor on a multivariate linear regression models can be used to predict the development of lymphedema as well as the volumetric estimates. Strength of the study was that it was from a single center, so the data collection was quite uniform and the measurement of the lymphedema was quite good. The limitation of the study is that data were collected retrospectively. Follow-up time is 2 years. Approx. Some patient might develop a lymphedema beyond that. Truncal edema was not included, that is very difficult to measure. This study needs a further external validation for generalizability. Certain known factors like chest wall radiation, subclinical swelling, timing of reconstruction, cellulitis and infections, and chemotherapy, adjuvant taxane, particularly docetaxel, were not found significant in this study. So take-home message is breast cancer-related lymphedema is an important sequel which causes significant morbidity, psychosocial and financial burden to patient. A validated good prediction model will help us to select the patient who will require the closer surveillance. Obesity does play a part, and in this study, the lower breast density on mammogram emerges as a surrogate for adiposity. There are further questions needs to be answered, whether the breast density can replace the BMI or it's an adjunct to the BMI. Secondly, the external validation for generalizability to our population is also needed. The second study I'm presenting is development and validation of REST tool for predicting severe toxicity in older adults who are receiving chemotherapy for early stage breast cancer by Magnuson et al., which was published in ASCO. We know that nearly 50% of the patients diagnosed with the breast cancer are in geriatric population, where KPS score or ECOG performance status does not perform so well. These patients end up either having excessive toxicity or undertreated for the fear of toxicity. Taking the variables from geriatric assessment have helped clinicians to develop some predictive tools like CARG. However, having a tool which is dedicated to the breast cancer only will be more helpful. Given that background, the researchers designed a multicenter prospective cohort study for early stage breast cancer patients who are going to receive adjuvant or neoadjuvant chemotherapy. The key objective was to develop a validated model which can predict the grade 3 to 5 chemotherapy toxicity in this group. Patients were more than 65 years of age. They were recruited from 16 centers in the USA, and the development cohort included 300 patients, while the validation cohort included 201 patients. Between September 2011 to May 2017, external validation cohort was from the same institution. Various demographic and the GA variables were collected, and the primary outcome was grade 3 to 5 toxicity, and the secondary outcomes were treatment modification, reduced dose intensity, and rate of hospitalization. So after univariate and multivariate analysis, model was developed. A point system was given, a point value was given to the each variable, and the total score was individual's risk score, which was again divided into 3 groups: low, intermediate, and high group. Less than 34%, 34 to 66%, and more than 66% risk of toxicity. So model was both internally as well as externally validated, and the additional analysis included the comparison with CARG toxicity tool and the KPS scoring system. Total final analysis cohort included had 501 patients. These are the baseline characteristics. After multivariate analysis, total 8 factors were found significant: stage, anthracycline usage, duration of treatment, hemoglobin, liver function test, history of fall in 6 months, ability to walk 1 mile, and presence of someone who's available to give advice about a crisis. Total scores were from 0 to 24, less than 6, which was again divided into less than 6, 6 to 12, and more than 12. The estimated probability and observed probability of toxicity curves were overlapping quite effectively, and each point increase in the score was associated with the increased odds of adverse event, OR being 1.28. The side effects noticed in the low risk, the odds were 5 times higher in the intermediate group, and it was 28 times higher in the high risk group. This model, the AUC of the model was demonstrated the good discrimination and the calibration. It was 0.75 in the development group, while 0.69 and 0.73 in the combination group. On comparison with the existing score system, the model did very well and better. All the secondary analysis also, model was accurately able to predict the toxicity. Author's conclusion was that they were able to derive the CARG-BC score derived by combining the 8 clinical and geriatric variable was able to accurately classify patients into 3 risk groups. It was validated, and it did demonstrate an outperformed CARG toxicity score and KPS score, and it was showing a strong association with the treatment modification, reduced dose intensity, and hospitalization. Strength is this is a validated scoring system which is filling a very critical gap, particularly to the dedicated subgroup of the patients that is early stage breast cancer, it is performing significantly better than the other existing models. The limitation is the total duration was taken rather than the specified treatment period. Patients were highly educated. There was self-reported data for 3 variables, which is subjective, not objective. Representation of male members were not there. The validation cohort was acquired from the same institution, so external validation requires. Stage 4 patients were not a part of this study. So take-home message of this study was the geriatric oncology patient do experience unexpected treatment-related toxicity. It affects their outcome in both in terms as well as dose reductions and overall survivals. Validated predictive model that are easier to perform in clinics are the need of R for the elderly oncology patient. The SCORE model performed well, and it was statistically better than the KPS scoring system and the CRGS scores. However, we need to further validate the scoring system in other setups like low and middle income countries, as well as in the metastatic breast cancer setup. At the end, author did recognize the work of Dr. Late Aarti Huria, who was the who conceptualized and led the study. She was a leading researcher in the field of geriatric oncology, a founder and the first chief editor of the Geriatric Oncology as well, Journal of Geriatric Oncology as well. Thank you.